exploring unknown tech, decoding future unicorns. Welcome to Product X, where we use the sharp intuition of capital and the hardcore logic of an architect to help you catch the next big thing in global tech. I'm Rena. Today, we're diving into one of the hottest stories in Silicon Valley. Arkenstone Defense just exited stealth mode with a massive $35 million seed round led by J2 Ventures. They're not building missiles or AI models. They're building what's being called a GovCon Native OS, essentially handling all the compliance, cleared payroll, and CMMC certifications for defense startups. So the big question is, why is capital so excited about a company that does compliance for others? Vivian, want to kick us off?
Hey Rena, hey Nolan, hey everyone. Yeah, I'm Vivian. I work as a senior angel investor at Pre-Angel Fund, and I've been tracking the defense tech space for years now. This $35 million seed round honestly doesn't surprise me one bit, and I'll tell you why in a sec.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm Nolan. Used to run engineering at a couple of big tech shops in the Valley. Always excited to dig into the nuts and bolts of how these things actually work under the hood.
All right, let's get into it. So Vivian, let's start with the obvious. A $35 million seed round for a compliance services company sounds huge. What makes investors believe Arkenstone is worth that kind of money?
Here's the thing. When you look at the numbers, it starts to make perfect sense. The Pentagon's procurement budget is over $300 billion a year, but the number of companies actually able to compete for those contracts has plummeted. We're talking about a market where the compliance barrier has become absolutely brutal. The average startup looking to sell to the DoD needs to spend anywhere from $400,000 to nearly $500,000 just to get through CMMC Level 2 certification, and that process can take up to 3 years. Most seed-stage companies don't even have that much capital total. So Arkenstone is essentially removing that barrier. It's like Stripe for defense procurement. You know? They're the toll booth every startup has to pass through.
Right. And from the technical side, what they're doing is even more interesting. They're using a PEO structure, which is actually clever. Instead of a startup having to rebuild their entire HR and payroll infrastructure to meet DCAA standards, Arkenstone becomes the employer of record for cleared personnel. They handle the timekeeping, the compliance, the isolation of classified data at the API level. It's not just software. It's a whole legal and operational wrapper that lets startups plug into the defense ecosystem without building all that infrastructure themselves.
So it's not just about the certification paperwork. It's about the actual physical and human isolation requirements?
Exactly. That's the part that trips up most engineers. You can't just spin up a cloud instance and call it a day. We're talking about digital enclaves, air-gapped systems, the whole 9 yards. Arkenstone provides that pre-certified environment. They've essentially already passed the CMMC checks, and startups just run inside their sandbox. It's like borrowing someone else's security clearance.
Vivian, from the investment angle, how do you see the competitive dynamics here? Can anyone else just copy what Arkenstone is doing?
That's the multi-million-dollar question, honestly. The thing is, this business has serious moat potential. First mover advantage is huge. They're already signed up over 24 defense tech companies. Once you're in their ecosystem, switching costs are sky high. Plus, their team actually understands the Pentagon. The founders came from the Defense Innovation Unit. They've navigated FAR and DFAR's regs for years. A pure Silicon Valley engineer can't just pick that up overnight. The real bet, though, is the upcoming CMMC deadline in November 2026. That's when certification becomes mandatory for all contractors. Right now, there are fewer than 90 authorized assessors in the entire country and tens of thousands of companies needing certification. Arkenstone is positioning itself as the lifeline before everything grinds to a halt.
I want to push back a little on the easy copy angle. Sure, the business model is clear, but the execution is brutal. You've got to maintain DCAA-compliant timekeeping pipelines. You've got to manage the physical separation of classified and unclassified data, and you've got to constantly update as the NIST controls evolve. This isn't something you can just spin up in a garage. The operational experience that Arkenstone's team brings, that's the real differentiator, not just the software.
Interesting. So both of you are saying the moat is less about the code and more about the operational know-how. Nolan, you mentioned the technical complexity. Can you break down what actually goes into that digital enclave architecture?
Sure. So the core innovation is treating compliance as an optimization problem. There are 110 controls in NIST, 800 to 171. Instead of making each startup configure firewalls and encrypted drives from scratch, Arkenstone provides a pre-certified environment. The startup's code runs inside that enclave, and it automatically inherits all the security controls. It's basically giving a startup a bulletproof vest without requiring them to become armorers. The time series bookkeeping engine they built for DCAA compliance is also no joke. It completely isolates labor costs for classified projects from commercial financials at the API layer. That's the kind of stuff that sounds boring until you realize it's the difference between passing an audit and getting debarred.
So we're looking at a company that's essentially automating the bureaucracy of defense procurement. Vivian, final thought from you, what's the big picture here? Is this a niche play, or is this going to reshape how Silicon Valley sells to the Pentagon?
Honestly, I think it's a paradigm shift. The $300 billion pie has been inaccessible to most startups because of these artificial barriers. Arkenstone is removing the friction. Once compliance becomes a SaaS subscription, instead of a multi-year, $500,000 ordeal, you're going to see a flood of commercial tech companies able to contribute to national security. That's the real thesis behind the investment. It's not about Arkenstone alone. It's about unlocking an entire ecosystem.
I love that framing. Okay, let's do a quick lightning round. Fast answers, no long explanations. First question, biggest surprise in this deal?
The size of the check. $35 million for a seed round in compliance is massive. Shows you how hungry the market is.
For me, it's that no one else has done this yet. The technical pieces were all there. It just took the right team to assemble them.
Second question, hottest defense tech trend right now besides Arkenstone?
Autonomous systems for sure, drones, all that stuff.
I'd say autonomous vehicles and AI decision-making tools for ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance.
Third biggest misconception about selling to the DoD?
That you need to build something revolutionary. Actually, you just need to survive the paperwork first.
That the technology is the hard part. It's not the compliance is.
Fourth, if you could invest in only one other defense tech company right now, who?
Honestly, I'd look at companies building simulation and training platforms. Huge demand, less competition.
Anduril, no question. They're the benchmark.
Last one word to describe the defense tech market in 2025?
Explosive.
Unrecognizable.
Love it. All right, let's wrap up. Vivian, give us a one-sentence summary of what Arkenstone is doing.
Arkenstone is turning the multi-year, $500,000 compliance nightmare into a plug-and-play SaaS subscription, effectively becoming the Stripe of defense tech.
Nolan, your one-sentence take.
They're abstracting the bureaucratic nightmare of defense procurement into code, and that's going to unlock a whole wave of Silicon Valley innovation for the Pentagon.
Well said. To sum up, what often stops technological progress isn't the technology itself, but the friction of outdated systems. Arkenstone is turning that red tape into code, and that might just be the key that lets commercial innovation seamlessly power national security. Thanks for tuning into Product X. See you tomorrow!